Today we see that Ethereum has had this huge pump from around $2,950 all the way up to this current point at around $3,130. But are we going to continue to the upside, or are we due a cool off? In today's episode, we're going to look at both the Ethereum chart as well as the Bitcoin chart to make some price predictions. So make sure you stick around to the end of this episode to see what those are, as well as some very exciting and very bullish news about Ethereum. Hello guys, and welcome to the House of Crypto. I make videos about Ethereum as well as other cryptocurrencies. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of the latest happening in Ethereum, as well as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And also guys, please hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Without further ado then, let's jump into the first piece of Ethereum news for today. Okay guys, so before we jump into the charts and see all the excitement that's going on over there, we're going to take a look at this news story over on CoinDesk. Ether options activity increases as London hard fork goes live with the 50k call the most popular. So basically an option gives someone the right to buy at a particular price. So they might say that I expect it to be $20,000 in a month's time, for example. Okay, so what this basically shows is what the sentiment in the market is, because obviously a lot of money goes in through options and a lot of the bigger money trade in this way as well. So Ether options have been increasing because of the London hard fork, and obviously as it's turned into a deflationary asset, they're expecting the supply to go down and ultimately the price to go up. And a 50k call means that someone is prepared to pay $50,000 for an Ethereum in a given point of time, and that given point of time at the moment most popular is around March 2022. So potentially just under a year from now, people are expecting that we're going to see a $50,000 ETH. Now, I think that might be a little bit ambitious. Let me know down in the comments below whether you can expect to see a $50,000 ETH by March next year. Okay, so data shows that Switzerland-based Levitas shows Ether volume on Deribit, the largest crypto options exchange, have increased by more than 50,000 Ethereum to 153,000 Ethereum in the past 24 hours. So there's a huge amount of buying pressure that's been coming in. Obviously, as we've talked about in the past, once the price starts to recover, people who may have missed out on the previous opportunities to get involved in both Ethereum and Bitcoin might be jumping on board. Those ones who are now going to start to FOMO in. And that's also something that perhaps we should be a bit aware of as we do get all these people FOMOing in. It does tend to shoot the price up perhaps a bit too aggressively sometimes, and that's why we do end up having cool-off periods or pullbacks, and something we should always pay attention to and something we're going to look at in a moment. Okay, something else that's really cool to mention as well is activity at the over-the-counter platform Paradigm has also doubled to 42% of the global market share in the past 24 hours. Co-founder Ana Gomez told CoinDesk in a Telegram chat, London hard fork is driving this activity and it's mostly institutional investors who are getting involved. So that is a very exciting thing for the Ethereum bulls out there. And in the longer term, that's nothing but healthy for Ethereum. So jumping over to the 4-hour chart on Ethereum. So we had this cool down period that started around Saturday, and we had this big push back down all the way to this area at around the $2,890 level, which if you look back here was significant, but because we held it as support for a couple of days before having a push back towards the upside. So if you got involved in a long position around here, well done, because you're obviously well into profit. But what we're seeing here is we are finding substantial resistance at around the $31,039 level. If we zoom out to the daily, what we can see is on the way up, we did have this as a retest here. And again, on the way down, we did see our first significant bounce from this level where we bounced from this sort of area that we are literally sat at right now, all the way back up to around the $3,570 level. So this proved to be a significant area of support before, and is ultimately what is turning into now a new resistance. Old resistance becomes new support, and old support becomes new resistance. Okay, so we are looking that we might potentially be due to have a bit of a cool off. Something else that's significant, if we look at the Fibonacci taken from the low all the way back last year, all the way up to this swing high where we had the daily close, you can see the 0.236, which is indicated by this red line as well, is going to provide us with some significant resistance, and perhaps that's what we're running to at the moment. So don't be surprised if we do perhaps go a bit sideways for a while, or perhaps have a cool down, and what's happening on the Bitcoin chart should give us an indication of what is likely to play out in Ethereum. Now again, Bitcoin has been on this recovery back since the 24th of July, where it had this breakout from this falling wedge pattern and eventually did push up, bit of a retest and then push on further. But what we are forming that is a bit worrying, not only for Bitcoin but potentially will be worrying for Ethereum, is this rising wedge pattern, which is ultimately a bearish pattern. Okay, so we have come down and tested the bottom of this earlier on today, and we are now pushing up towards the top of it around the $46,000 mark. As you can see, we've been fairly stiffly rejected. If we turn on the SMA, okay, which is a simple moving average, we can see this purple line here is what is the 200-day moving average. Now that's really significant because we haven't been above that, because the last time we were below that line and we came back above it was back in April 2020. Okay, so more than a year ago, we had this same breakout. But obviously this is going to provide us with some very stiff resistance. So although we have currently broken through it and we are appearing to push back up, we could well get rejected and come back down. And not until I see a daily candle close above this line will I be looking to put in any more long positions. Okay, so bear in mind, things do look very exciting at the moment. When you're starting to get that FOMO feeling and you feel like you should be chucking more money in, that's ultimately how the market's supposed to make you feel. Big whales, etc., have liquidity to sell to, and ultimately, once it gets to a certain point, bigger whales, etc., might look to offload their crypto. As you can see, we have been overbought back since the 30th of July, and what we are seeing is, although from this point here, which is much lower down, all the way up here, we do have this point. We do have this point here, and then this point here, which are pretty much on the level with each other. So what we're seeing here is a price increase, but the RSI, or the relative strength, basically starting to drop, and that's basically known as a bearish divergence, and ultimately could be indicating that we are due to have a bit of turnaround. It's not necessarily that I believe we're going to dump all the way back down. I don't think that that's necessarily true, but we have had a good deal of growth and a good deal of strength coming in. So don't be surprised if we do get rejected, perhaps down to this orange line here, which in the past has shown us as resistance once, again here and again here, and then has been flipped into support. So don't be surprised if we don't necessarily continue on up and we do perhaps come back down and push sideways for a bit until the sort of RSI has cooled down a bit and we potentially might be in a better position to be moving off. But ultimately, things are looking a lot more positive than they were a few weeks ago. We could be due a cool off because obviously we have had a fairly sizable run in the last week or so, particularly with Ethereum. We're just seeing a huge growth all the way back up to its current position, well over $3,000. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed today's content. If you have, make sure you smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. And if you're new to the channel and you hold Ethereum, you want to make money in Ethereum or other cryptocurrencies, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll try my best to bring you a daily Ethereum updates. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you again tomorrow with another video. Bye-bye.